Welcome everyone to the Eve growing system.
Oh, God.
All right, folks, today we're going to pack a Vernmenting bin. But first, let's go over some parts, basically, here with this Vernmenting bin. This is the most modern, up-to-date bin made. These are regular bottle top holes right here, and I suggest that you use Gatorade because it makes it a little bigger. A little bigger of a hole. I use these because I get these easier than I get Gatorade bottles. This here is a Gatorade bottle hole. I always use that for the top because the bin on top of this, it's got a smaller hole, and that goes right above this hole, and the water goes all the way down. With this new Vernmenting model, the irrigation is all internal in each container. They're all separate in their own right, as I've said, but all the irrigation goes to one spot below where I can easily get it and add it to our CBCB. So today we're going to pack this bin with all new material, and then we're going to add a fresh new batch of reds on top of it when we're done with it, all right? So this is how, I've got a total of 10 holes. This is the top hole. This is a bigger hole. 1.5 inch is what I drill this one, and that's Gatorade fits in there nice and easy. These holes here on the side, I use an 1 1/8 drill bit because they come out easier like that. It's rather 1 inch. When I was using a 1 inch, I usually had to jam it very hard to force it in there. So the 1 inch drill bit I use only for nothing in here because I don't have a grommet. When I do a grommet in my Eve buckets, that's when I use just a 1 inch drill bit, and we'll talk about that in another video. Today we're going to be packing a Vernmenting bin, right? So we got a total of 10 holes. The top lid hole is always bigger, so the little hole that's on the bottom of each Vernmenting bin should be right into here, and all that liquid goes straight on through. So, and all these other ones are the same. You got 4 on top, 4 on the bottom, and this is the drainage. Now the beauty about this, when you have a Vernmenting bin on top of this here like this, air comes through here and into this chamber, and vice versa. Whatever aeration is in there goes down. So the air does go in between the buckets as they rest upon each other. So that's kind of cool. And another thing that I've said about these is they make awesome nurseries. You got the lid here with the bigger hole, Gatorade hole on here, and then we have I like to use these aluminum cat cans as my guard the drainage hole there, and also it holds the subfloor up. This material is what I'm using these days. Look around for wire fencing and stuff, guys. Very cheap. Any kind of wire could work. Here's another one that I've been using for a long time. That's all you need, folks. That goes right on top of there like that, and that should hold the can down. Now once they're packed and they're stacked, it doesn't move around much. But this basically holds the subfloor up. You put this can, so this is like that. You got the drainage hole there and the 4 bottom sides. That goes on there. So the drainage hole is mostly about drainage, but there does get some air, and so I add some air holes on the side here in case some air comes up through here, which there does. It's an aerated bucket, right? So now you got the subfloor. Subfloor goes on like that, and you want your subfloor to be just above your aeration holes. Okay, so now I have that like that, and then I get some newspaper, and I just put it in a square like this, right? And then I'll grab my scissors and I'll cut the piece off like that, and I lay it in there like that. All right, now I get my, oops, sorry, did I move you? Now I get my aeration tube. Now, do you need this or do you not need this? I don't know. I've done it without an aeration tube and it's worked fine enough, but I say to myself, why take a chance? Now this is a wider grid. Remember I told you in one of my other videos, I have some with tighter grids that I don't necessarily cover. But this one I do cover because I don't want the medium or whatever I'm putting in here to fall out. So what I'll do is I'll cover this with newspaper. a fine layer of newspaper. Like this. Tuck that in like that. Tuck this like this. Now this air, all the way down, the hope is when you get aeration through here, the air will go right down there and get to the bottom if by chance these happen to clog somehow. Which I haven't had a problem with these new design as far as aeration goes. I've had some bins that seem a little bit anaerobic, but for the most part, the worms do make it through there so far. So after I do this, I put a layer of minced cardboard at the bottom here, just like that. This cardboard, we'll do a video as well. We use as cat litter. It's been working so good. So we're not only composting our dog manure, we're doing our cat manure as well. And what this does, if my rolls are packed a little bit too juicy, then that'll help absorb it. So it doesn't, you want to run your bins dry, but that's hard to do at times. So then I'll get my newspaper. The shiny stuff I have been avoiding. So I'd like to talk about that more and why I should. This kind of stuff I don't necessarily use. Sometimes I do, but more of the times I'd rather not. And we could talk about that. And so to pack this, I just take my food. I've been power composting my food, and I have a couple. We'll do that in another video of how I make this food. This is probably about 50 pounds of food right here. Of all kinds of food. The smell is not very good, but when I pack it, I roll like that, very loose, and put it in there. You know, the heat came when I packed it too tight, and it's interesting, an interesting thought. They say when it's anaerobic, you don't get the heat, but when it's aerobic, you get the heat. I'm wondering if that's true. Because I feel if I did this with this here and I packed it solid like I used to do, I got heat. When I do it like this, I don't get the full stage. I don't get that when I pack them loose. That's a lot of compost, folks. And I pack it like that. Okay, very lightly, very loosely. Then I'll add just a little bit of duff. Right here. Not much, just a little bit. All right, this stuff has grit in it as well. So, I usually do 2 layers of paper each time I do it, and I scoop it up. That, very loose, put it in. Hartford Current, right. Lady making pies. So that's one I usually do. 3 layers, 3 rolls, 3 layers, I guess. Let's count it out. 1, that's 2, and then we got 3. Just like this. Again, that is a lot of compost. Believe it or not, when it's minced that fine. And of course, the liquid from all this power composting goes to our carbon-based composting bin. Videos out there, old videos, guys and girls, that, let me put my layer of duff down. This stuff was in one of my grow plants this year. I'm using my hands too, you notice? Because I'm not really touching anything gross at this stage. This is all rich soil. This compost, the paper's touching it. And that goes in there. There's 1. That's about 2 pounds easy of minced food, and everything is in this, guys. That's why I'm able to feed my reds everything. It's all about presentation. You got to mince it up as fine as you can, guys, because the more surface area exposed on your organic matter, as I said, the faster it all breaks down. And I'm about speed. I want my castings fast, and I just want it quicker than anything else. So if it's in its whole form, these worms will get in here when it's ready at their leisure, and they will turn these rolls. There's a magic that happens at some time in the bin that I've never seen, that the rolls become theirs, and it's just a healthy healthy roll there. A little more of this. Bum, bum, bum. And now we'll add another roll. And this is all fresh material here. When I empty bins, initially, I add new. I use the old material that's not finished to make a bin. Does that make sense? All right, this will be my last roll. Notice how much aeration is in the bucket because I haven't packed them down hard. I packed them down very loosely. Everything's loose, so air is allowed to move around. Just like that. And I might even put another roll in. No, I'll leave it like that because I'm going to take out a composting roll that's packed with worms in it. This here, and also this bin here, we should talk about this later on, but this is a great way to hold your food when you're ready to feed your reds. We'll talk about that in another. Today we're just talking about this thing here. Now I'm going to add a bunch top like this. And the worms will go into this at their leisure. All right, so let me go find me some reds to throw in here. And that's finished. That's all it is right here, guys. Nice, gently packed. Aeration's getting in here. And this will be a good bin. It doesn't heat up anymore. I used to worry about heat and wonder why I worried about the heat because I packed them too tight, the rolls. There are reasons to pack your rolls so tight, but in this particular case, you don't want to pack them. And we'll talk more about different ways that composting rolls are, you can manipulate them in your favor depending on what you're doing. Like if I was to bury a composting roll in my garden, let's say to feed the reds that are already in one of my towers, I usually roll it up tight and pack it in there like a pill. And then the worms in the microbial world go in there at their leisure. Let me go get some worms here.